In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can increase your masculinity. Now, this is a very important topic, and I love talking about it because it's so important to be able to balance your masculine energy and also your feminine energy. Because if you're too masculine, right, and you don't have any compassion or empathy for others, you're not going to have a great experience of life because you're going to feel disconnected because you can't relate. You're going to get lots of complaints in your relationships, and you're just combating like all the time. It's going to feel like this. Going through life is going to feel like this, right? And you're like consistently angry, and you don't have many friends that actually care about you if you're too in your masculine, right? And it'll be hard for you to relate, right? You'll be relating with other really masculine men, but you won't feel like super connected because you need to have the balance, right? Conversely, if you are too feminine, what's going to happen is that most of the time you won't be able to connect with men because you just can't relate to the masculine energy of a man because you're going to be surrounded by women, right? And this is like a nice guy syndrome. Nice guys find it hard to connect with other men, right? And I'll get into that in a second, but if you're too feminine, then you're going to attract masculine women and they're going to boss you around. And unless you like that I've seen that dynamic work, but if you don't want to be that feminine guy, and you don't want to be attracting masculine women, you gotta balance it out, right? And one of the people that is a great example of the balance of this is Tony Robbins, for example, if you know who that is. So he was one of my first mentors, which is why I mentioned him. So when I was, I think I was like 18 years old at university, started listening to personal development stuff, and I started listening to his audios and watching his videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and I started changing my mindset slowly but surely, right? So he's one of the voices that I first started listening to that helped me change my mindset, and I've since obviously been following him for a long time. I've actually been to one of his events, and I didn't get to meet him, but anyway, I saw him in real life, and he's got a balance of masculine energy and feminine energy, right? Like he can be super confrontational and direct and tell you and stand for what he believes in and take no shit and set the boundaries. And he can also have the compassion and empathy and, shed a tear every now and then and really hold space, like, be that solid emotional rock for anyone who needs it. And so that's a nice balance between the two. And this is what I want to talk about today, because my story is I grew up and my mom would teach me to basically be a feminine man, right? And it wasn't her fault. That's just how, that's just her worldview she was putting onto me. And it wasn't like she was thinking to teach me how to be feminine. It was just how she knew how to teach me as a man. So, for example, there are some traits that I agree that it's masculine. It's a nice trait to, like, at a restaurant when you're with a lady, to go and pull out her chair before she sits down and like treat women nice, right? But being a nice guy is what I have been raised to be, right? So my conditioning has taught me to be nice. What does that look like? Please others, put others' needs before yourself, right? Like, you feel bad? Oh, just do that for them. It's all right. No, I don't want to do that. No, just do that. It'll keep them quiet. Just do it. Stuff like that, right? And that taught me to, if I want to get my needs met, I need to put other people's needs before my own. I can't piss people off. I can't state what I believe in because it's going to ruffle some feathers. I got to keep the peace. And this is all feminine traits, right? Like, that's not what a real man does. A real man speaks his truth, okay? And this is something that I've had to learn and work through by myself. Like, and also with coaches too. So one of the books that helped me with this is No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. And if you're watching this video, you definitely need to read that book if you haven't read it already. I shared it with one of my friends and I said to him, this is literally the most uncomfortable read I've ever had in my life, because I feel like it's like attacking everything about myself. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I've got so much work to do with myself. And it just goes details like how we became nice guys. And I see it. I'm so hyper aware when I'm socializing who is a nice guy and who's not. Like, a nice guy is someone who doesn't have any boundaries, right? Or struggles to set boundaries. And that's been me my whole life because of how I've been raised, right? And I never actually was aware of, why can't I state, no, that's not okay. Hey, that bothered me. I don't appreciate when you do that. Why can't I say that without any fucking fear and trying to take on how they feel, how they react to what I say? Or, for example, someone invites me somewhere and I already have a prior commitment. Why is it so hard for me to say, hey, I already got a prior commitment, thanks for the invite, but I can't make it? Why is that so hard for me to say? This is not being a masculine man, because a masculine man can speak up when he needs to and control and protect his time by having firm boundaries, right? And for me, that is something that I'm still working through, and I'm practicing it. It's hard, but you got to keep practicing. And everyone is. I'm how I am based on my upbringing, right? And so just recently, there was a guy that went really famous on the internet, and one of the things I learned from him was how much your upbringing affects you as an adult, right? Like if you have parents who you genuinely believe are your heroes, how that affects you as a man. Like you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you had parents who you thought were absolute heroes. Like that is a role model of everything I want to be. Because most of the time, like for example, if you believe that your father was like a hero for you, right? He has boundaries. He had boundaries, right? And he has this balance within him. Like he can be like, I'm not going to go. He can be firm with people and not take responsibility for how they react and how they feel about him setting a boundary, right? This is super important, and I feel it so much. Like I'm in Bali right now, and in Bali it's so social, right? And I realized that I've wasted so much time pleasing others because I didn't want to disappoint them by saying no to social events and invites, and not realizing that I'm actually wasting time having all these acquaintances when really I don't actually need more acquaintances, right? Like if it's not a real friend, then why am I spending more time with acquaintances, right? I got to protect my time. And that's a lack of boundaries, right? And so that's one of the biggest keys to increasing your masculinity is having solid boundaries, protecting your time. That's a form of self-care and self-love. It's like, I love myself so much, I can't go to your party. Like I can't go here. No, I got this. I'm focused on my purpose. I'm locked in. Right? That's one of the keys to masculinity. And the second one I would say is emotional intelligence, right? Like, actually, before that, I would add in fighting, right? So I started jiu-jitsu. I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu at the time of recording this video. And one of the reasons I started that was because I knew that I wasn't feeling that masculine, right, at the time. I remember my first day I went to class, and we were wearing the gi, right, wearing the clothes, and then we were doing grip fighting. And then this guy walks in, he's like massive English guy, and he grabs my collar and starts pulling it. And then he's like pulling me forward. I'm like, oh shit. He's like fucking me up. Oh shit. And I'm like, fuck. I didn't know how to react, right? Because I had never been in that situation before. And that just showed me that, fuck, I'm actually I'm like a little woman. Like, not in a derogatory term, but like, I want to be able to protect my family with my bare hands if I need to, right? And that was one of the beliefs I had that caused me to start training martial arts. And I think that's a key component to being a real man is, like Jordan Peterson says, like a real man is a dangerous man who has it under control, something like that, right? Like you're not a real man if you can't actually exert violence. Like you're a real man, in my opinion. I agree with that because like I'm a lover, not a fighter. You can't even fight. Like how can you even say that? Like, you can't fight, so how can you be a lover, not a fighter? Like, you're not a fighter because you can't fight, right? A lover is someone who can fight, who chooses to love. And I love that. Like, Joe Rogan talks about this too. So, yeah, like, having the skill set to protect yourself with your bare hands if you need to. Now, I'm not saying, like, I can, like, with my bare hands, right? Like, I don't practice how to defend against fucking swords and shit like that. Like, I just run. Like, my friend Luke, I had him on the podcast, he was talking about, I asked him, what's the best martial art for self-defense? He's a very well-seasoned martial artist. He's done Muay Thai, boxing, he's had 10 MMA fights, black belt in judo, brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's been doing it for 21 years. I asked him, what's the best martial art for self-defense? And he said, communication. And he said, if that don't work, just run. And that's it, really. So the thing that martial arts gives you is, first of all, it increases your masculinity, right? Because doing martial arts is masculine. It's a masculine exercise or sport. And secondly, it increases your confidence, okay, in yourself. So that's what it's done for me. It's increased my confidence in myself. And that goes through every area of my life, right? And so I definitely recommend every man, because if you're watching this, you're a man, right? Every man to do some sort of martial arts, right? And, just be confident in your skills to defend yourself if you need to. I just saw a video on Instagram yesterday. Mark Zuckerberg trains MMA. And I was like, damn, like he's got some skills. Like there's a few tricks. And I'm like, if I was to fight against Mark Zuckerberg, it wouldn't be a walk in the park because he knows some of the things that I know, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Like you need to be able to defend yourself and your loved ones, because as a man, your duty is to protect your family, right? And yes, financially is important. We'll get to that in a second, but also physically is important too. So thirdly is increasing your emotional intelligence, because this is another way that you increase your masculine energy is by understanding your emotions. First of all, understanding your own emotions, which is also always a journey, right? Like I'm still understanding my emotions. Like, how are you feeling right now? If I ask you that question, do you know how you're feeling right this second, right? And of course, that's going into more feminine, but it's also masculine too, because when you're connecting with your brothers, like you need to understand this stuff. You need to be able to relate to people's emotions and how they're feeling, have empathy. Of course, that's a bit of a feminine trait, but it's also masculine as well. It serves you in both. And that's very attractive to women, right? So women don't just want a guy that's macho, macho, macho and has no time for their emotional state. They want a guy who is macho, but also has time for their emotions and knows how to listen and not give advice, because women actually don't want advice most of the time. They just want to be heard, okay? And validate them. Let them know that it's okay to feel this emotion, right? So this was the biggest lesson that I learned, which was I had an ex-girlfriend and she was always, she wasn't always crying, but whenever she would cry or complain, I just thought, oh, fuck, why are you stressing me out with this bullshit, this drama, all this crap, right? Because I was too in my masculine at that time. I wasn't aware of my emotional intelligence. Like I wasn't aware of, I didn't know how to deal with those emotions she was presenting to me, because I never had to learn that, right? I learned from my dad, and my dad didn't know how to do that. So every time my mom would come home and she would be crying or complaining about work, he didn't know how to. It wasn't that he didn't love her. It's like he didn't know how. He didn't have the tools. Just like if my sink's leaking, I need to know what's the problem, and I need to have the tools to fix the leak in the sink. He didn't know how to fix this problem. He didn't have the tools. So naturally, be like, try and fix the problem, because that's what men do. If you're too in your masculine, you'll just try and fix the problem. And that's the problem, because you're just trying to fix it. Instead of actually, the woman doesn't want the problem fixed. She just wants to be seen, heard, and understood. So just understand her. Let her know that the emotion she's experiencing is okay to be felt. And that takes you knowing how you relate to your own emotions. Anyway, I digress. But that's really important, right? So that when this happened to me, I got into another relationship, and I remember she started crying. I don't know what the hell she was crying about, but all I did was just not say anything and just be there and hug her. And she kept on crying, and I didn't say anything. I just was hugging her, just holding the space, being that rock, that emotional rock that I talk about, right? And this is not to say you can't get emotional around your woman, but women find it attractive when you can be a rock, right? When a woman's really in love with a man, he becomes her world, her emotional rock, right? And support. That's what happens, okay? And so that's what you need to be. And it's a process to get there. Trust me, it's a process, right? And I feel like I'm almost like I'm making lots of progress in this area, which I'm really proud of myself for. Anyway, you don't care about that. But the next thing is finances, right? So increase your masculinity by increasing your finances. And this is obviously a growth area. This not obviously, but this is a consistent growth area of mine, is working on my finances and increasing my wealth and understanding money at a deeper level, understanding how to build wealth at a deeper level. Because, for me, like I want to take care of my woman, right? That's just how I operate. And some people, some guys, they want to actually have a partner. And that's fine. That's what they want, right? They want someone who is equal. Like they don't want to be paying for all the stuff and whatever. But for me, like I actually like providing. I like that. And you could say I derive self-worth from that, whatever you want to say. But it just feels nice. It's just like it helps the woman relax, right? That's just my belief, right? But yeah, that's obviously an attractive trait, because the older a woman gets, the more she prioritizes a man with economic resources, basically a guy who's got lots of money. And so that becomes more important to her. It's not that she's a gold digger, it's just that she's searching for security because evolutionarily speaking, she wants the guy that is going to have the highest chance of giving her safety and reproduction and survival. Every human optimizes for two things, survival and replication, right? So we're optimizing for that every single day. And that's all subconscious, is how we are. We're mammals, right? Like, we want to survive the day and we want to reproduce. That's it. So everything in life that we do is to achieve those two things. Why do people go to the gym and want to look great and increase testosterone? And it's all because we want to be more attractive for our potential mate. Why do you think women go and pay $25,000 to get a new pair of tits? Why is that? It's because they want to be more attractive to their potential mate so they can reproduce. That's literally what's happening. If you say that to a woman, she'd be like,
Nah, that's not really why.
but actually, she doesn't even, a lot of times not even aware of it, because that's literally an evolutionary code, like imprinted in our DNA, right? That's, so there's a book called Cash-Fertilizing, and there's the Life Force 8, okay? And survival and replication is part of that. It's like, that's why sex sells, because we want to, at the core of us, survive and replicate. And in that book, I don't want to go too much detail into that, but I remember I reading it, and then there was like, if you see a kid walking across the road and there's a car coming, what are you going to do? You're going to try and run and get the kid out of the road, right? Why? Why does that happen? Every single human on the planet would do that. Why would they do that? Because it's hardwired into us that survival is what we want. We want to survive, right? We don't need to be told to survive. That's hardwired into us, all right? So survival and replication is why we exist, right? And that's our goal while we are here, to survive and replicate. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so basically, women want that, right? Sex sells, okay? And increasing masculinity helps, well, we're talking about money, that's right, we're talking about money, bring it back. So increasing your financial status will ensure that you're going to survive and you increase your chances of replicating, okay? So this all makes you more attractive as well to a potential partner. So what was it again? So I covered finances, emotional intelligence, fighting, and also balancing your masculine and feminine energy. Yeah. So these are really important things to do. And I hope you found a lot of value out of this video. If you want me to make more videos like this, just let me know in the comments. Yeah, I love talking about this stuff. It's fascinating to me. You know, as a man, I believe that we should be working on 3 areas: our fitness, our finances, and our frame with women. And that's just my belief. That's what I believe, because frame with women means, what does that mean? It means boundaries. Like I was talking about boundaries earlier, right? Actually, that was the first one, boundaries. So, you know, if we have solid boundaries, we know that we're the prize. Like, this is another thing. It's funny when I share this. It's quite controversial, but actually, with my content, I actually got to start making more controversial content. Not in the... These are just things I believe that I just don't share, right? Because, again, this is another thing. So this is me being a bit not in my masculine. Like, I don't want to share this stuff because I am concerned with how I'm perceived. But actually, it's what I believe, right? So this is why I respect people that really share what they believe in to millions of people on the internet, because that takes a lot of courage, because most people are too scared to do that because they're scared of the backlash that they're going to get. That's why I have so much respect for presidents, because the president, I was going for 20 minutes here, the president of countries, they have half of the fucking country hates them. That's crazy. Imagine half the country hates your guts. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine living life? Like, we get pissed off when someone hates on us in my Instagram comments, right? And that affects our whole day. But imagine half the country hates your guts. Sheesh, that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in. So, wow. Yeah, that's why people are scared. Like, and that's why I want to share what I'm going to share right now, which is, you need to know, as a man, you are the prize, right? I used to believe that women were the prize, but it's not true. Here's why. See, when you focus on increasing your, like when you're ripped, you're rich, and you have a good solid boundaries in your life, and you don't take no shit from anyone, that puts you in the top 0.1% of men in the fucking world, right? And those men have the choice. Like George Clooney, Leonardo DiCaprio, all these celebrities, right? They have the pick of the women. Beautiful women are not a scarce resource. High value men are. I cannot go, right? Let's say, for example, I just went to Thailand. Sure, I see a lot of guys who got a lot of money, but most of them are fat and they got bad relationships. They ain't fucking like hot women. And this is just a fact of life. Like you can see this play out in every society. I'm not making this shit up. Most guys who have a lot of money have a fucking belly to go with it, right? They're not in shape. Now you got a few guys who have a lot of money and they're in shape, but maybe they don't have good frames of women. Maybe they're not getting the women that they actually want. Maybe they're not, you know, having the relationships that they want. So they still got work to do in the relationship area, right? Or maybe they don't have good friendships. So there's 3 areas to work on. And so to meet a guy that has all these 3 areas handled and dialed in is very, very rare, okay? So that's why it's easy, like anywhere you go in the world, there's attractive women everywhere. And actually that's their most important asset that they have. It's like, if I'm a beautiful woman, I can get into the most prestigious places just based on my looks, right? It's not hard. But as a man, I can't do that, right? I can't do that. Who are you? I'm with this beautiful lady. Let me in. No, who the fuck are you? She can come because she's beautiful. But what about you? What you got going for you? Who the fuck are you? You got to be someone, right? I can't just go on a billionaire's yacht. The girl will get in. Oh, yeah, I'm just in Dubai for a few days. She can get on the fucking yacht. I can't get on the yacht. Who are you? I'm with her. Ain't happening. That ain't happening. Get the fuck out of here, bro. So, yeah. Anyway, I digress. But if you're watching this far, I appreciate you. I appreciate your attention, as always. Attention is a scarce resource, right? Actually, no, it's not a scarce resource. It's everywhere. But to get all the attention on you, that's scarce. That's a skill set. People that know how to get attention, like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, I got something to learn from them because they know how to get attention. That's the scarce resource. If everyone knew how to get attention, everyone would have 10 million followers. Anyway, I digress. But increasing your masculinity, those 4 things I shared, okay? And yeah, so boundaries, balancing masculine and feminine energy, learning how to fight, and increasing your wealth and having frame, like setting your frame with women and being able to walk away. Like you don't need this. Like you can go and get another woman, right? So you don't need this one woman. And that's something that I'm still working through, but that's a place where once you're there, you're like, I'm the prize. Like when I change that mindset, I'm like, oh yeah, I am the prize. Like I'm a high value male. Like I've been working at this shit. I understand a lot about the dynamics between men and women. So I'm like, I'm a high value man, right? So when you start realizing that about yourself, then you can be like, oh, okay, life becomes easier. It becomes easier now. And then you start connecting with other high value men, and then they share the same worldviews, and it's just, you start going up and up and up, increasing your wealth, increasing your ability to fight, increasing your fitness. That's another thing, increasing your physical fitness is huge, which is obviously what I teach on, right? Like that's very important because straight away, you take a shirt off and you're at a party, boom, you stand out, boom, instantly, respect, instant respect. I take my shirt off at a party, I'm getting instant respect, no matter where the fuck I am in the world. And that goes a long way. Like you are your business card. Like you don't need a fucking business card because it's how you look tells me a lot about how you treat yourself. And respect is given to people who have clearly put in the work. And one of the ways respect is given is by looking at someone's physique and be like, you know what? Clearly you've worked at this because that shit ain't coming easy. And that's something that's happened to me. Like I've gotten respect from high value men who I struggled to get their attention before because I didn't do anything worthwhile, worth them being like, you know what, I respect that. And so when you start doing hard shit and you start getting results, people notice. The right people notice. So work on your skill set, work on increasing your value to the world and becoming better in every area of your life. And yeah, you'll increase your masculinity and it'll be easy. Everything in life will become easier. As a result of that, you have more confidence. And that is really what this is all about, is increasing your personal power, increasing your confidence. All right, so if you want to have some help with implementing these strategies in your life and getting in the best shape of your life for the rest of your life and maintaining that, leaning down to your ideal body weight, building lean muscle, burning that fat, getting rid of that spare tire around the waist, go ahead and click the link below this video and get access to our program. You can watch the webinar and then go ahead and put your email in and then apply for a free call. We'll talk about where you are now, where you want to be, ask you a lot of questions, get you clear, and then see if we're a good fit to work together. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one. It was a long one. If you watched to the end, respect, congratulations. You're my kind of person. Click link below this video and let's continue this journey, man. Let's work together and let's help you out with where you're at in your life and help you get to the next level, okay? Because I really want to help you dial in your health and also your mindset too. As you can see, I can help you with the mindset side of life as well, based on my personal experiences from going from the nice guy to like not being so nice. And I'm still balanced. I'm not like a fucking asshole. Like everyone says I'm nice, right? You can be a nice guy with boundaries, right? And having a solid frame and not letting people pull you here and there, right? And that's what I am basically working towards, being an example of that. Like from recovering nice guy to, being a man that is respected. That's really what it's about. Because if you don't have any boundaries, no one's going to respect you. They'll be like, oh yeah, he always says yes. Like no one's going to respect you if you don't have boundaries. And that's just one aspect, right? So I thought that getting in shape was going to be the solving all my problems, but it really highlighted that I needed boundaries. It's just hilarious to say that. But yeah, go figure. But anyway, I don't regret getting in shape. Obviously not. No one regrets getting a six-pack and being lean 24/7 for 6 years. I don't regret that at all. So go ahead and click link below this video, get access to either the program or our coaching program, watch the webinar, and go ahead, book your free call, and I'll talk to you soon. Like and subscribe, share this video with your friends, and yeah, have a great day. Cheers.